I'm going to quickly go over this extra points to get some extra points, half your credit back on your last exam. This should not take long. Learn from your mistakes. So first part, I'm taking the even root, so the fourth root of 81. We should know that that's a 3, but you can ask the calculator. You can hit math, option 5. It's the fourth root of 81. It's going to tell us 3. But then it's your job to know -3 also works. So it's plus or minus because it's an even root, okay? Here, cube root of -64. I can hit math, option 4, -64. You're going to see it's a -4. Okay, so those problems are super easy. Okay, we should know those. They're common perfect roots, but you can also use your calculator. So here I would want to use my calculator, 216 raised to the 2/3 power, really taking the cube root of 216, then squaring it, and you get a 36. So that one's a nice answer. Here I could rewrite this to the 5/3. So that's what I'm going to do just to save some time. It's 5 divided by 3, which is 32. Okay, because you're really just taking the cube root of 8 and then raising it to the 5th power. So again, those worked out nice and neatly for you. This one, a lot of people struggle with for some reason. These are like terms, okay? You just have to realize this is to 2/7 power, so we have -8 of them. We're adding 1, so it's simply -7. Okay? You could also write it this way. And I showed that on the practice that you could keep it in radical form. So either way, same answer, you just realize you have -7 of them, okay? Here, you just take the square root of each of the factors. Square root of 49, everyone should know is a 7. And then we take half our exponents because it's x to the 6th raised to 1/2. Power to power, multiply your exponents. And there you go. And take this times itself, you're back to the number underneath, okay? This shifts, we've been doing so long. You see a negative out front, you know it's a reflection about the x-axis. I just need to see the word reflection. This will shift the graph to the right, 5, and then this outside number is up 6, okay? Here for these problems, whatever's in the denominator, we multiply by its conjugate. So we just change the sign. Okay, so here we just have to distribute the 2. You're going to have -6, and then it's going to be 2 root 5, which is simply 2 root 5. You cannot get root 10 out of that. A regular number times a radical, just put them next to each other. Then the bottom, we should get a nice number. Here we get a 9, and then it's going to be minus. Your outers and inners would cancel out, but then you're going to have your last, which is going to be minus root 25, which is 5, which you get a nice 4. Okay, 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay, that first page took 3 minutes. Okay, this one, you have to realize I need to break up this. Okay, just like we did with square roots, I'm looking for a perfect cube so that it can be combined with this guy. This guy's 5 cube roots of 5. Well, you know it's going to be a 5 here because I would want you to be able to combine these. And if you take 135 divided by 5, you're going to see 27, and 27 is a perfect cube. Okay, so 27 times 5 is still the 135, but then this becomes 3. So we have 3 of these cube roots of 5, and we're going to take away 5 cube roots of 5. They're like terms. 3 minus 5 is -2, and you write your cube roots of 5. Okay, that's the answer. For this, you only divide once when it's factors. Okay, so I can reduce first. So I can either put 2 in the 8 or 2 in the 16. I'll just do 2 in the 16. 16 over 2 is really 8 over 1. So I'm left with the cube root of 64, which is simply a 4. Okay, and again, you could check this on a calculator. These are nice, neat answers. Okay, this one, we want to use the AC method. This is our review. You get -24v squared, and we're going to come up with a way to get -5. My brain's already working. I already know that it's going to be a -8 and a +3. Okay, it satisfies that diamond problem. And then I'm just going to rewrite this so that instead of a negative 5, we use a negative 8v and a 3v. Okay? Split it down the middle. On this side, we can factor out a 4v, v minus 2 inside, which means we must have a v minus 2 on the other side for this to work. So you factor out a 3, 3 times v, still 3v, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6, so everything's good. 4v plus 3 and v minus 2. Those are your factors. And if you quickly check by FOIL, you're back to the original. Okay, so we have our outers and inners would agree with the negative 5v. 3 times negative 2 is the negative 6. Okay, so here's a quartic, 2 sets of parentheses, x squared, it's a negative 20, so it's going to be a plus minus, and I need to take away again 20, negative 20 to add up to a 1, so my brain knows 5 and 4, and then since this is a perfect square, I can't factor this anymore, so the x squared plus 5 stays that factor, but then this can be broken up as x plus 2 and x minus 2. Okay, a review of a perfect square minus a perfect square, just like you saw in your practice. Okay, this one, you would want to graph this, so I can use my graph to stretch, then the square root of x, and then a lot of people, that is the only thing underneath my radical, so I need to push away, and then minus 3, so I know it's a shift down 3. So when I hit graph, I should know that I'm down here at negative 3 is my starting point, and then it goes up. Okay, and it's a little bit stretched out a little bit with a factor of 2. So I'm going to plot some points. So when x is 1, I can see we are at negative 1. Okay, when x is 4, again, you don't really need a calculator for this, but it can help you make, so you don't make a calculation mistake. We get a 1. So if you plugged in a 4, square root of 4 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, take away 3, that's where the 1's coming from. 3 dots is all we need to get the general shape of that. So then our domain, my x values for this rule have to be greater or equal to 0. I get errors if they're negative. And then your range, okay, look at your graph or look at the table, my lowest y value is a negative 3. That means all the other points are above it. Okay, so we want to include negative 3, so put a little line underneath the inequality, but then all the dots, and it goes up forever. Okay, for this one, we're writing a rule, so you should know that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 units to the left, so 4 left, and then down 4. Okay, so it's a cubic function, so your rule is going to be the cube root of x plus 4, and then a minus 4. And if you needed to, you could quickly check that on the calculator. If you're not sure, should that be a plus or a minus, hit the math key, option 4. I can type in x plus 4, push away minus 4, and it should look identical to what's on our paper. Okay, that's the rule for that. And then your domain, these are easy for odd roots, all reals. Okay, I can take any number, take the cube root of any number, so I don't care about my inputs, and my range is going to be all reals as well. Okay, this continues to go down forever, continues to go up. Okay, so you'll hit every single y value, and you can tell that from your table. If I scroll up, my y values, you can see, are getting smaller. If I go the other direction, my x values are getting larger, my y values are getting larger. It's going to continue to climb forever and forever. Okay, so it continues to go up. Okay, we're at the 9-minute mark. So our last page, we have 2 equations to solve, just like the ones on your original quiz and like the practice. You do not want to cube these terms. It's a nightmare if you try to cube the x and then the 5. It's a x plus 5 times x plus 5 times x plus 5. So we want to undo the cubing. There's no other outside numbers, so if there were, we would get rid of them. But all I need to do is take the cube root or the 1/3 power. Okay, so if I ask the calculator what 512 raised to the 1/3 power is just going to tell me 8. So then one move, and I know x has to be a 3. Okay, so many people made that so much harder than what it is, okay? This one, I want x squared all by itself, so I subtract the 2, I have 3x raised to the 4th equals 243. You must divide. Okay, let's see. 243 divided by 3 is an 81. And then I undo, finally, the power. That's my last move, since it's not in parentheses. I have the 4th root of 81. Again, I can just raise to the 1/4 power. And it's your job to know that there's 2 answers. Okay, so without the plus or minus, you lost the point. Okay, so easy. And then this one, the volume of the cube is 2744, and you only have one move. You just take the cube root. I want to know what x is. I want to know the side of the cube. So I ask the calculator 2744 raised to the 1/3, and we get a nice answer of 14, and in this case, it's inches. Okay? And then this last one, I only made worth a point. I warned you that it was going to be on your exam. You have exactly 3 moves, and you do it all on a calculator. Whatever the volume is, type into your calculator. So 1023. You're going to divide by 4/3. Okay, so just let the calculator do that, leave that stored in, and then we're going to divide by pi, get rid of the pi. Here's dividing by pi, and then that's what, I'll write this, 244.22 equals r cubed, and then your last move is to raise that answer to the 1/3. So we get about 6.25, and once again, it's inches. Okay, so that took 12 minutes. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something and use this to get ready for a test.